Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at, whenever you are listening to this. Welcome to the One Door at a Time podcast. I am your host, Jason Richardson, and this is episode number 4. And today we are joined by Malcolm Anders. Malcolm is a sales manager here at Security National Life in the Home Service Division. And Malcolm, how long have you been in the insurance business?
Jason, I'm coming up on 35 years in the business.
35. So you started when you were 12?
Right. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
There you go. There you go. Well, it certainly wouldn't be the thing that was stretched the farthest when it comes to the insurance business, because it's much like fishing tales. Our stories have a way of embellishing themselves over time, right?
Right.
But yeah, so Malcolm has been, how long have you been with the company now, counting the years at Kilpatrick?
Oh, goodness. Well, let's see. It was 2016 to now. So what, right at 7 years?
7 years, yeah. So Malcolm has the distinct honor of being somebody that we paid millions of dollars for a company just to acquire him. Previously for a company that decided to get out of the home service business, and instead of coming to work directly for us, he went to work for Kilpatrick Life, which we would eventually acquire. So he came anyway. So let's back up a moment, Malcolm, and let's just get started with you. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and maybe how you got into the insurance business.
Okay. Well, of course, going back to college, Jason, I went to Copiah Lincoln Junior College in Southern Miss. And back then I decided I wanted to go into sales. So I studied, marketing and sales management. And I got into sales with a tobacco company, that sold tobacco and sundry items. I was with them 8 years. And when I felt like it was kind of a family-owned type business, and I didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunity for advancement. And back then, my family was just starting to grow. I decided I wanted to get into something else. My father was a career insurance man, and so life insurance for several companies, and it was an independent agent. And, he told me that he thought that would be a good avenue for me. So I got in the insurance business. He told me a couple of companies that he thought would be good. I chose one, and I started with them in 1989, and I was an agent for a year and a half. And I guess they saw something in me, so they promoted me into sales management, and I have been in sales management ever since.
So backing up to your dad, was he in the home service side of the business, or was he in just ordinary?
He started in the home service side with a company. He was with them about 6 months, and they were having some problems as far as management went. So he really didn't get off to a great start. So he decided that he could do better if he just branched off into the ordinary side, and that's what he did.
Okay. So, and you mentioned starting off in sales. Now, I don't know too many people, despite personalities, that start off when they were younger saying, hey, I want to get in sales, other than the money. So was it the money issue, if you starting a new family, that you said, hey, I think I can do this. I think this would be a good avenue for me to earn a living from a family?
It was certainly that, because of the fact that fairly newly married, and then all of a sudden children on the way. But when I was working for the tobacco sundries type company, I felt like I wasn't really helping people. I was helping businesses, yes, but I wanted to get into something where I felt like I could help people, individuals, other families and things like that. That's why I chose the insurance side of the business.
And talking with different people that are not in the insurance sales or sales at all, it's very easy, I think, for them to think, well, oh yeah, you say all the time that you're helping people, but really you're just helping yourself. But we're actually helping both of us, and that's the best sales equation. That when the salesperson can benefit, the company can benefit, and the customer can benefit. And so when you have that win-win-win, I mean, that you can't ask for anything better. So people think that it's just like a cliche that we say, hey, we're helping people, but we are helping people. I'm sure that in the 30 plus years that you've been doing this, that you've delivered many a death claim check, and many a times that you've helped people out when they didn't know where else to turn.
Right, that's exactly right. I've through the years, many times, I guess it sunk in with me pretty quick because I had written as an agent, I had written an accidental death policy on a young man that I knew, and he was he was engaged, and so he said, I want you to write one on my fiance. I did, and later, I don't know, it's about a week later, I guess he was up north doing a job up north, and he called his fiance and said, we've been talking about getting married. Why don't you come up here? Let's get married, and we'll have our honeymoon up there. It was up in the northern states. And she was supposed to get up the next morning and leave early, because she'd been working all day. She was very excited. Naturally, she left out that night, and she didn't make it. She fell asleep behind the wheel of her car, and she was killed. And so I paid my first death claim. I think it was my second month in the business.
Wow.
And that sunk into me right then, what I do is important for other people.
And that's another thing that's almost unanimous across the people that I've talked to, and over the last few episodes as we've started this podcast, asking people how did it really sink in? Because starting any new thing, I know, especially for myself, I too, let's see, my wife was pregnant with our second child when I got into the insurance business, and I was 21 years old. And so I was thinking it was tough. I didn't like the rejection side of it. It was getting accustomed to not having to punch a time clock, all those kind of things. And really it sinks in with you when you're, the person's looking to you and you're like, hey, I'm able to rescue them. It's almost as if you're putting on that superhero cape and able to fly into the rescue, and all those promises, those times that you had to beg them to pay almost, it all comes, hey, this is why it was worth it. Yeah, I got paid and that was great. But hey, this is why they did what they did, and the company came through. And so usually what cements people into this business.
Right.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's exactly, but that's exactly what that hooked me right there. And I've told people through the years, it's a lot of times when I'm recruiting, someone else, I say, you get to know these people as almost like family, and
Sure.
and you know a lot more about them than a lot of their family members actually do. And I said I've rejoiced with them at baptisms and weddings and graduations and things like that, and I've cried with them at funerals.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny because when I started work with Security National Life as an agent, I didn't have any book of business, so just scratch agency. So obviously I had the people that I already knew at that point and had some kind of launching pad, but by and large, just having to write and to eat anything. So I had wrote this customer, and I hadn't really known them all that long, but just like every other customer, I was mailing out Christmas cards. My kids were still, all young back then.
Right.
And there's nothing else on her mantle except my Christmas card.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I had noticed it, and I guess she caught me noticing it. And for those of you who don't know, not that it really matters, but I am of the Caucasian persuasion, and this lady was Black. And so she says, yeah, tell everybody that those are my little white kids. And she was as serious as a heart attack. I mean, it really meant something for me to mail that Christmas card to her. And I mean, like I said, I hadn't even really known her all that long.
Sure.
So those little things like that, there is the reason why that I think that home service still has many, many more years to come, that the best days are not behind it, but ahead of it. So,
Right.
now you, unlike myself and others, didn't really bounce from company to company back when there were a lot of companies out there to choose from. You basically stayed at one company, now two companies, I guess, right?
Correct.
And they bought each other. You had all these other ones buying each other out. But so though you did stay at the same company for the majority of your career, there were many, many changes that came with acquisitions and new heads of CEOs and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
So it probably felt like you were moving from company to company. As
A lot of times it did, Jason, like I say, you'd get a new vice president in, or upper management, and they want to change it, and they want to do it this way, and
Right.
they've got a better idea, that they'll do it this way. And sometimes those ideas were better, sometimes they weren't.
So, yeah, everybody wants to make their mark on it, and but feeling like you're working for different companies, because as things went along, even though the company you were working for was the leader in the home service business, especially considering the amount of premium and the companies that they had acquired, to go from that to, yeah, we're just going to kind of collect what we got left, and we're really not worried about that stuff no more. We're going to kind of do this other thing. I mean, what was your thoughts with it? I mean, were you bought into this change, or did you say, well, look, I'm just going to ride this pony as long as it'll ride, or what was your thoughts in going through that?
Well, yeah, of course, that particular company that I was with the majority of my career, they came to what they considered a crossroads, and they wanted to split the sales side off and the service side off. And it's been my experience, you can't do that. You've got to you've got to service it, whether you're strictly in sales or whether you're strictly in service. You've got to service it, and you still got to sell. So I just thought that was I thought that was a mistake, and it turned out it was a mistake for the company. Because our main thing is in the home service business, and I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think that the home service business has got many years to come, because of the fact that people, they want that personal attention.
Mm-hmm.
You see it all the time. You hear people saying, "I had to call this 800 number, and I was on hold for 30 minutes before somebody finally picked up." And I says, well, you've got my card. It's got my cell phone number on it. And if I don't answer you right off, you will, I guarantee you, get a call back in the next 10 or 15 minutes,
Right. And, that's one of the benefits of being in the business longer. When I first started, I did the same sales pitch. Of course, I'm sure that those people are like, yeah, but I mean, you've only been doing this for 6 months. I mean, I know you're going to continue to do it, but
right.
now I'm coming up on 23 years and a month and a half from at the time of this recording. And so, now people are like, well, yeah, okay, well, if Jason says he can take care of it, he can take care of it because he's been doing it for this amount of time. So
yeah, something worked, huh?
That's right. But yeah, it's just amazing to me that even companies, if like Amazon, as an example, has what they call home services, where they actually will have people go out and sell people on the installation of stuff. And what companies like Amazon, who are monumental type behemoth companies when it comes to online commerce. And then for them to say, hey, we still see a niche right here that we can really dive into that will supplement or be kind of a symbiotic relationship, if you will, with our main business line. But hey, look, the less people in this game, the less competition for me, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
That's right. Me too.
But think about it if back when we started in the business, if there was no other competitors, right?
Right.
But we were constantly trying to keep people from replacing our business and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I don't even run into this much anymore, and maybe you do, but is for people price shopping and calling back and saying, well, so and so said they could get it for me for $10 cheaper or $2 cheaper, whatever.
Right.
I really don't even have that anymore, and I don't know if it's just because I still run a debit to this day. I don't know if it's the clientele that I deal with is mainly people that have known me for quite some time, or it's because there's less competitors out there, maybe a mix of the two. But do you find that to be the case?
I do, and a lot of times, with these people that are looking for insurance, they also, when you tell them how long you've been in the business, then I think that is also a factor of them choosing you, because they say, well, this guy's been in the business a long time. He must know his stuff.
Yeah, probably so then. Yeah, that's a good point. Probably will do away with a lot of rejections or possible turnarounds from that. Because just this past week, I had somebody call me up and she said a customer. I said, well, who was it? And they told me who the customer was that had referred them. And I've known this customer for this year will be 20 years. It's hard to believe it was 20 years ago I wrote that policy.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like yesterday. But yeah, so
especially when you see these families that you wrote these policies on, and these people, and now that their children who were little toddlers and everything,
that's right.
They're getting married now,
and they're having children.
and you're writing them insurance.
Yeah, so it is great, and that's one of the benefits of the home service business. I read an article written by a professor at Georgia State University back in 1992. Here recently again, and in the article, it was talking about some of the challenges, some of the benefits of the home service, and so it's called home service into the 21st century, right? So I mean, this article is quite a few years old by now, but it was amazing how it's still spot on after all this time. And it said that one of the challenges of the home service business is for them, being the agents, managers, whoever, to take it to capitalize on the inherent advantage we have. And that inherent advantage we have is the customer relationships that you mentioned earlier, that we are able to build over the course of their lifetime, their children's lifetimes.
Right.
So, it's when you're a new agent out there in the field, you're not getting the sales you want. People are telling you come back next week as far as making the collections, and it's just not all feeling all that great. That's what you as an agent have to remember. This too shall pass. Just continue to do what you know to do, what your sales managers or your other mentors are trying to help you to do, and it will get better.
It will.
So, Malcolm, during these podcasts, try to add in some kind of sales tip to watch, because I imagine the majority of the people that listen to these are salespeople.
Right.
Okay, Malcolm, give me something that's going to help me go out there today after I listen to this podcast on YouTube or Spotify. So check us out on either one of those platforms or both those platforms. Feel free to leave us 5-star reviews. We appreciate it. If you want to leave us a 1-star, don't. Remember, Mama said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So they're looking for you, Malcolm, to bring them some kind of information, some little sales tidbit that's going to help them make another sale today, or make more money in the same house? What do you got for us, Malcolm?
Well, Jason, I've always said that, of course, when I was a new agent in the business, it it hadn't sunk in at that time. But as I was stayed in the business and grew in the business, I learned that, and we know that one thing that's the most important thing if you're in, an insurance sales or any sales, for that matter, is referrals. It's the lifeblood of the company. If it's the lifeblood of your success in the company. So I would say that for each sale you make, you do not leave that house unless you get at least 5 new names of people that you can go see. I've told agents before, I said that, before you know it, you're going to have a whole lot of names that you can go see. You're not going to sell them all. But the ones that you do sell, they should, they're going to appreciate what you've done for them enough to where they're going to give you names and referrals. And even the ones that you don't sell will appreciate what you do and what you do for people, that they'll even give you names if you learn how to ask for those.
That's right. Because people inherently want to help you. And giving you those names ain't costing them anything. So they're like, hey, I can help this guy and it not cost me anything. That's a no-brainer. But
Exactly.
I know I've been so guilty of leaving a house all excited about a sale and not remember to ask for any referrals. I give you a story with that. When I first got in business, it was actually the first week in the insurance business. And my sales manager was training me, and we stopped at this house in Magnolia, Mississippi, Quinville Road, actually. And knocked on the door. The lady was not interested in what we had to sell. But before he left the house, he said, who do you know that might be interested in something like this? And he got 2 or 3 referrals. We went to the first house. He was trying to teach me to, do the sales presentation and the close by myself. And so we went to the first referral. Well, this lady had rejected me. So I thought in my mind, of course, the next person she gives me is going to reject me. So I pulled up to the house, and he said, oh, yeah, this is a sale. This is a sale. You see that big C above the door? I said, do what? I literally thought he saw a C above the door. And he said, that means checkbook. He said, this is a sale. And I said, no, here, take the kit. I can't do it. We go up to the house. He knocks on the door. And just like he knew him 20 years, he says, Boo, right? Because this was this guy's nickname. And so he says, yeah, okay, come on in. Didn't even know who we were. We went in the house, sold it. They bought, it was like taking candy from a baby or, because they wanted it so bad. I'm just like amazed. I'm like, how in the world does this stuff work? But it was amazing. And from a referral from somebody who didn't even buy, to your earlier point.
Right.
So, yeah, the referrals are definitely, and if you sell those referrals, generally they are the more persistent business as well.
Absolutely. Another quick story, when I was a brand new sales manager in the business, and one of my agents had been in the business like 15 years. So, here I was basically a kid, and now all of a sudden I'm this experienced veteran agents manager, but he was in a slump. And so I told him, I says, I'm going to work with you tomorrow. And so I got with him. We got to the first house, he's on his route. And we went in there, we asked I said, what does she have? And he says, well, I don't know. I said, well, let's open the book. Let's see what she's got. Because, we don't know what she needs unless we know what she already has.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, long story short, we didn't sell that one, but she's thinking about it. The next one, kind of basically the same thing. The next one just absolutely didn't need anything. And by lunchtime, we hadn't sold a thing, and I guess we had asked 12 to 14 people to buy. And we were walking back to his truck and I was whistling and we got in this truck and he looked at me and shook his head and said, I just don't understand you. And I said, well, what don't you understand? He said, we've asked 12 people to buy and you just act like you're happy as a lark. And I said, because I'm one step closer to a yes. And I said, I want you to always remember that for every no you get, you're one step closer to a yes. It's when you stop is when you fail.
Yep, that's exactly right. But when you're in the heat of the moment, it's really easy to not see
It is, but you just got to stay the course,
That's right. So, there is a sales tip for all of you salespeople or potential salespeople out there. And so Malcolm, anything else that you want to share as we start to wrap this up?
All I can say is if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, that you couldn't pick a better company. If you're, considering getting into the business, you couldn't pick a better company than this company. You come aboard with this company, you will be trained. And it's a good company to work for, good people. We have good products. And, it's so consider that.
That's right. And of course, Malcolm trying to steal my thunder here, but I will reiterate that if you are an agent who's been in the home service business before, maybe the algorithms of sorts recommended this podcast because of something else that you were looking for. Maybe you're working for a company like Malcolm and myself have both have. That is not interested in home service business anymore, or at least they act like they aren't. They're really not vibrant. There's no opportunity there for advancement. The company's not growing organically like we here at Security National are. Then I encourage you to reach out to us. You can go to snlhomeservice.com and follow us there. Certainly you can contact your applicable sales manager or managers in your area through that medium. You can reach out to Malcolm or myself, Malcolm Anders or Jason Richardson on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk to you some more about the opportunities presented here. Maybe you've never been in the home service business. It's certainly not something that when you're a little kindergartner and they're asking you what you want to be when you grow up, that you say, yeah, I want to be a home service debit agent. Not something that's I've ever heard, but if you are thinking of a career change, tired of your dead end job, just got laid off from your current job, and you're looking for a challenging yet rewarding career, we don't sell flash in the pans. We sell crock pot success. So a lot of companies out there will say, oh yeah, you can make $2 your first year in the company. Yeah, but what are you going to make next year and the next, right? We want to make sure that you're here 20, 30 something years later down the road. So like Malcolm and myself, maybe by then you can be interviewing someone yourself instead of us. But if you are interested in a career change and are interested in Security National, again, you can reach out to snlhomeservice.com. We are also on Facebook, as well as aforementioned YouTube and Spotify. And we do appreciate you for listening today. And Malcolm, appreciate you for joining us today and sharing some of your memories of the home service business. And until next time, folks, happy selling.